Islam Global Rising Beyond Europe 1. Islam's Rise in the Middle East and Beyond. Siener van Rensburg saw a spiritual and military resurgence of Islam in lands where it had once flourished. He described a growing power centered in the Middle East, connected with religious zeal and militant fervor. He foresaw the Islamic world becoming emboldened, moving from a state of relative weakness to one of assertiveness. He saw this revival as a precursor to global unrest, not confined to borders but fueled by ideological momentum. This expansion would carry with it conflict, fire, and martyrdom as spiritual warfare spilled into physical confrontation. Flames in the east. The Crescent advances. In multiple visions, Siener described flames rising in the east, particularly in regions traditionally associated with Islamic civilization, suggesting nations like Iraq, Iran, Syria, and Turkey. These flames symbolized not only war and destruction, but also a fierce religious movement. He saw masses of people stirred with religious passion, moving together like a wave, overtaking governments and inciting rebellion. The crescent moon, his symbolic reference to Islam, was shown rising above many lands, often accompanied by bloodshed, upheaval, and radical transformation. 3. Northern Africa in flames and upheaval. Siener had visions of North Africa plunged into turmoil. He saw large areas under chaotic Islamic influence, where established regimes were toppled and violent factions arose. He saw carnage and persecution, particularly of Christian minorities. Entire regions were on fire, both spiritually and literally. The Islamic upheaval was not just nationalist or political, but also deeply religious, often directed against Western powers or influences that had long been dominant in these regions. In these visions, militant Islam spread rapidly, sweeping through nations already weakened by internal decay. 4. Asia and the rise of a religious wave. In one striking vision, Siener foresaw a spiritual darkness covering parts of Asia, particularly the regions influenced by Islamic extremism. He described a time when Islam would merge with revolution, producing a wave of fanaticism that would inspire terror beyond the Middle East. He saw parts of Pakistan and Afghanistan glowing with unrest and fire, regions consumed by intense battles and deep hatred for the West. In these visions, militant Islam was not isolated, but networked across countries, empowered by ideology and bloodshed. 5. Global shockwaves, Islamic fire spreads. Beyond specific countries, Siener van Rensburg envisioned the ideological fire of Islam igniting distant lands through terror, propaganda, and infiltration. While he did not name countries outside of Europe explicitly in all cases, he spoke of foreign lands burning because of false gods and a strange fire reaching places untouched by traditional wars. This fire was symbolic of Islamic radicalization, carried into regions that had no history of Islamic governance, but would soon feel its force through terrorism, upheaval, or political disruption. 6. America warned through distant fires. Though not detailing specific attacks in the U.S., Siener's visions included warnings to Western nations beyond Europe, with America hinted at indirectly. He spoke of distant nations watching the East and ignoring the danger until it reached their shores. He foresaw a time when Western powers across the ocean would face judgment, first spiritually, then through the shock of fire and blood. While not naming Islam outright in these contexts, his visions of rising crescent-shaped power, betrayal from within, and burning cities strongly echoed his earlier descriptions of militant Islam's rise.